Hi everyone, today this video is about how to save a peace lily from complete root rot. So here, um, these are the peace lilies that I've got about a month ago, and it suffers complete root rot. So basically almost all its roots were rotten. Um, and I was trying to save it. So here I'm trying to share my experience with you. So what I did was, um, so first you take the peace lily out of its pot. Again, this one was in soil. It wasn't in water culture. So you take it out from the soil, and of course, basically all its roots turned brown and mushy. So basically they're all rotting. So I take it out. First you cut off all the rotted roots. But since this one basically all its roots were rot, so you just cut off everything, and then after you cut off all the roots, you wash away all the soil that was stuck on the plant. So you have to make sure you wash away as much soil as possible, because the soil um, is not good for its recovery, and it may contain bacteria or fungus. So you want to eliminate as much as you could. So after that, you just take the peace lily and put it in water. So you can you can put it in any container, but I would prefer using a transparent or a clear container so that you can see its base. Um, it's very important because that's make it way easier for you to keep track its recovery, because you can look at the roots yourself. Um, so basically you wash everything away, but here, as you can see, this is basically from one single plant, but as you can tell, I separated because well, first it's kind of like by accident, but actually I think you have to eventually, if it's a big peace lily, then you have to kind of separate it into different pieces, because it's hard to wash away all the soil on its base without breaking it apart. Um, so basically, a big peace lily is basically composed of several or multiple different of these smaller ones. Um, so when the peace lily grows bigger, yeah, basically it grows out new stems like this, which can be easily detached from its base. So in order to wash away as much soil as possible, yeah, it's basically you cannot avoid. It's hard to avoid breaking it apart. So I break it apart anyway because it was a big peace lily. Um, I think a lot of people, I mean, even they don't have root rot, they still separate it anyway. But here, again, you just make sure you cut off all the rotted roots, and then basically you're all set to go. Just put them in water, and then you wait. But actually, it's not just waiting. There's still some maintenance that you have to do. Basically, you have to make sure you change the water every few days, maybe every 2 to 3 days, because you have to make sure the water is clean and oxygenated. One key factor is that you want the water to have oxygen, because if the water is still and no oxygen, then that's one of the cause for root rot. Like, because people keep saying, when you overwater your peace lily in soil, it will get root rot. But how come you can plant a peace lily in water? Well, the main reason is as long as you keep the water oxygenated and clean, free of bacteria, then it's basically can sit in water all day long or all year long. And here, as you can see, it's been over a month already, and the result is pretty good. I was actually surprised how well it turns out. Um, you can see there's some roots, new roots forming already. I know it's hard to see from the camera, but you can tell. I can take one out, and here, let's see. Yeah, it's hard to see from the camera, and the lighting is not perfect. So yeah, you can see there's some new roots forming. I know it's new roots because I cut off every single root. All the roots are gone, all the old roots. So when you see something, new coming out, then it got to be new roots. And another way you can tell it's new root is that they're white in color. Basically, all these stems here, they all have new roots forming. Yeah, I hope you can see this, but basically all of them has new roots coming out. So this one takes around a month or so, and yeah, some roots are even like over an inch long already. So maybe like starting around 2 to 3 weeks, new roots should form already at the base here. So make sure your peace lily still has its base um, in a good shape. You don't cut off, don't damage the base, because that's where the roots is going to form. So this one turns out very fine, and I know if you have a peace lily, you would know that the base of the peace lily are usually white, but this one, yes, it was white, but now as you can tell, it's green. It's all green already because once the plant is exposed to sunlight or light, then that part, if it's white, then it will turn green. So eventually, I know the base used to be white, but now since I put it in a clear plastic cup, which is exposed to light, so it turns green, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And the roots eventually will also turn green. I have another piece in water culture. All its roots have turned green. So, which is pretty cool. I like green actually. It's kind of unique. But like as you can see, the roots are not very robust yet. It's not very long, so you have to wait a bit longer, maybe another month or so, if you want to plant it in soil. Of course, right now I don't have any plants to put in soil. I love water culture, so I can, just live it in water. It will grow anyway, and this is it looks way better than before. And this actually a few more advice is that um, you have to make sure, besides you cut off all the rotten roots and soil, make sure you cut off all the dead leaves as well, because you don't want to waste energy on those dead leaves or the sick leaves. So cut off all the dead and sick leaves. So all the yellow and brown leaves, you have to cut it down as well. Even I mean, in extreme cases, you may even want to cut off some green leaves that are droopy. So if they droop after like a week, and if it's still droopy after you put it in water, then just cut it off. And the thing is, you may ask where to cut it. You have to cut it all the way from here, not the base, of course. You don't want to cut the base, but right down here. Let's say this is the stem. You have to cut it at the bottom of the stem, which is here, not here. And then not just the leaf. Yep, that's how you do it. Um, so as you can see, yeah, this is not a big PCD anymore, but you got to do what you have to do. But yeah, as you can tell, the leaves are not doesn't look quite normal yet. It's still very curly, but we'll see what happens. I mean, the new growth, there's actually some new growth that those are the ones that you want to save. The old one, you can just cut it off if you want. It save you some energy. And then yeah, change the water every 2 days. That's one of the big key here, and it's kind of cool to see new roots forming. So that's how you save a dying PCD from root rot, which is one of the most difficult tasks for peace lily, and actually this would work for most houseplant as well. For example, Dieffenbachia or Pothos, but those two I haven't got much root rot from them. Those two are much better in water culture, and they're more resistant to root rot. Maybe PCD is the worst. I don't know why. Um, but I mean, every plant. I mean, there's always a chance to have a root rot. Um, but yeah, just cut off all the rot roots. If they're healthy, of course, just leave them alone. I mean, you don't have to cut them. Just cut off the rot ones. But in this case, I mean, don't be afraid to cut off all the roots if you have to, if they're all rotten. I mean, some people may say, oh, may think, just leave one or two roots or a few because they're scared of having no roots. That there's no chance of the plants coming back. But that is false. A plant is not that even you cut off all its roots. That's a major misconception or misunderstanding in the community. Actually, you can cut off all its roots, and doesn't mean is going to die. I mean, in this case, yeah. I mean, new roots is gonna form. So don't be afraid to cut off all the roots if you have to. That's the way, because you don't want any rotted stuff in the water. It may contaminate the whole cup or the other parts of the. Rotting is gonna spread uh, uh, within the plant. So you just every time just cut it off, um, and yeah, keep checking your plant every day. Do the water change. Cut off any. If you find additional rotten parts, don't be scared to cut them off. So far it's been a success. So this is how you save a plant with rotted roots. Just yeah, it's not that hard to do actually. You just have to be patient. It takes months for recovery. So anyway, this is the easiest way I would say already. Some people might just put it back in soil, and if you're lucky, they might recover by itself after a few months. But I find this way, I mean, easier, and a more guaranteed way, and you can check the roots forming by yourself. You don't have to, just wait for luck. So anyway, thanks for watching, and have a nice day.